Hey yogis, Leah B here. Welcome to Badass Yoga. I've got my sidekick Sparky here today. He doesn't want me to hold him. He really doesn't want me to hold him. So awesome for you to be here. I'm very excited about this class this evening as we will be working into crow pose. And before we work into crow pose, we're going to talk about it a little bit. This is one of those, I would say crow pose is like that pose for your yoga students that when they get into it, it's like their first real advanced type pose. I would say crows is more like intermediate though, really. But when you get into it for the first time, it's definitely exciting. So let's talk about it for a second before we get into our flow. Crow pose is a arm balance. You're on your hands. The only thing that's touching the floor is your hands in a crow. It takes a lot of different things that need to happen to get into this pose. You need to have your upper body strength. You need to have that core strength to hold your lower body up into place. You also need a little bit of shoulder mobility. You also need lower body, like your hips, in order to bring your knees to your triceps. So all of this needs to be open. The sequence that I've created today helps to work into all of those different areas, your upper body, your lower body, your core. All of those things need to turn on and be warmed up before you work into a crow pose. Also with crow pose, because you're on your hands, a little bit of wrist warm up is also super important. So I'm going to come to the mat for a second and I'll break it down real quick. First things first, if you have a really squishy blanket, please use it when you're practicing crow. A lot of the time when people can't get into this pose, it's because of fear. It is not because of ability or strength. It is strictly, I'm afraid I'm going to fall on my flippin' face, and you don't want to do it. So people avoid it. They don't want to do crow because of that. They're just like, nope, not interested. If you put something here, if you practice on a carpet, it makes it feel a little bit less scary. Also, blocks are great. So with this pose, generally we would come into it from a squat. So you start in a squat and you're bringing your triceps to your knees. Your hands are coming on the mat, shoulder width apart, spreading your fingers, coming up onto your toes, and the knees are coming up to the triceps. So see here, you need your core, lower belly pulling in and up in this position when you're holding the pose. So if the pose isn't even accessible for you, this is the pose. We're in it. This is the pose. Also, blocks under your feet make it more accessible. It makes it easier to bring your knees higher. So if you find that it's hard to get your knees are on your elbows or something, and you're not getting that height, then stand on some blocks. You'll notice a huge difference. And with this blanket here, if I fall on my face, it's not going to hurt. So there's no fear. From here, it's just about bringing your knees to your triceps, keeping your elbows tucked in so they're not splaying out to the sides. They're staying in that like chaturanga shape. You shift forward, you look forward, your feet come up. So I'm not looking between my legs because guess what? You're looking to go that way. If you're looking this way, it's a barrel roll. So we come forward, we look forward, we shift forward. Maybe one foot comes up at a time and you just work on tapping. Like one foot up and down, shifting forward a little bit, getting comfortable, maybe lifting the other toe up. Play with it. But the blocks under your feet, epic. There's also another way you can do it with a block under your forehead. It's not my favorite, but this works for some people, so I'll show you. Make the block on its tallest height to get into your position. You can put your forehead on the block, come up into the pose with that stability underneath your forehead. For me, I find that harder. It doesn't assist me, but I've seen it assist other people, so try it. That is our crow pose. If you want to modify crow pose, work on squatting. Work on bringing your hands to the mat in a squat and coming up onto your toes. You can shift side to side. You can shift forward, see what that feels like. Think about your feet when you're standing, okay? When you're standing, your toes are what keep you from falling over. So in crow pose, your hands are your feet. That is your foundation. Press into the floor. Your upper back needs to be rounding. So you're not like here in crow pose, you are here, pressing away. It's not like this, it's like this. Your core, lower belly is pulling in and up in the position, and then your knees are coming and you shift in that little ball. You're almost like in a tucked ball position. That is our crow. Now, With that said, you might need a blanket, you might not. Grab it, grab your yoga blocks, meet me on your mat. We're gonna start on our back. Let me just bring my sound a little closer. Okay, so laying on your back, hug your knees into your chest. And from here, take your knees into that table position, so 90 degrees, knees over hips. Reach your arms up overhead, and we're just gonna come into some reclined dead bugs. So extend your right arm and your left leg out, pull your belly button to your spine. And then as you exhale, bring it back in to this reclined dead bug position, and then right leg, left arm. And then bring it back in. Every inhale is on the extension, so opposite leg and arm. Every exhale is when you bring it back into center. And just use this opportunity to find your core. Inhale, reach, exhale, tuck it in. We need that core strength. So right now you are finding it. In a second, you're gonna realize how strong you are. Next, we're gonna come into a hollow body hold to boat pose. You might have heard it be called high boat, low boat. In this case though, it will be a hollow body as opposed to a high boat. I'll show you the difference. So we're coming into hollow body. Your lower back is on the floor, your legs are out long, hovering, your arms are overhead. This is hollow body. If it's too much, bring your arms forward, it takes a little bit out of it. The higher your legs are, the more accessible the pose. The further down to the floor they are, the more challenging. With your exhale, boat pose, lift up, lengthen your spine, you can have your legs straight or bent. Inhale, hollow body, exhale, boat. Inhale, extend, reach. Exhale, tuck it in. The entire time, you have the floor. When you lay down in that hollow body, your belly button is pulling into that floor. When you come up into boat pose, same thing. Belly button tucks in. Inhale, extend. Exhale, tuck it in. One more. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, tuck it in. Come to hands and knees. So cross your legs in front, bring your hands to the mat. Hands and knees position. Take some wrist stretches. Flip your palms. So your right hand is going clockwise. Your left hand is counterclockwise. Plant them on the mat. Your fingertips face toward your knees. Spread your fingers here. The more you spread your fingers and plant your palm all the way into the mat, you'll feel that stretch instantly. If you'd like a little bit more, start to shift back. Keep your palms flat. Hips shift back. Don't let the palms lift. Stay when there's no more space and breathe. On your next inhale, shift forward. And as you exhale, shift back. This time, peel your palms up off the mat. Come to your fingertips. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, shift back. And just move through a few shifts back and forth, waking up your wrists. Do not make this intense. Move to where it feels a little bit like you're working into some discomfort, but nothing that's gonna hurt. Okay, come back, bring your hands flat on the mat. Sit back onto your heels and just make a fist and spread your fingertips. Next time you make a fist, wrist rolls. And now we switch direction. Okay, wake up your spine, cat and cow. Inhale, drop your belly, look up, cow. Exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your hips, cat. Move through those two poses. Get your spine ready for the work. And if you'd like, you can start to play around with moving your spine in spirals or circles or whatever feels good. Sometimes you just find some sticky areas and move through them. And when you're ready, downward facing dog, spread your fingers on the mat, tuck your hips up to the sky. Belly button to the spine. Find your breath here. Now when you're ready, bend into your knees and look between your hands. Come to the top of the mat, fold over your legs, ragdoll pose. Bend your knees, head hangs heavy, elbows hang heavy. If you want to catch opposite elbows, do that. Okay, release your elbows, bring your big toes to touch if it feels good for you. We're coming into chair pose, so sink your hips, reach your arms up, sink a little bit deeper, and think about the floor here. In this pose, you want your weight shifted more back toward your heel. You want to sink as low as you can go comfortably, squeezing your legs together, squeeze your glutes, pull your belly button to your spine. Bring your hands to your heart. Inhale, lengthen your spine, lean forward. Exhale, twist to the right. Bring your left elbow outside your right knee. Try not to allow your hips to shift. With every inhale, lengthen your spine. With every exhale, twist deeper. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, your hands to your heart. Inhale, lean forward. Exhale, twist to the left. Right elbow outside left knee. Stack your elbows in one straight line. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist deeper. Okay, inhale, chair pose. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift and widen your feet to hip distance. Take your index finger and middle finger to both of your big toes, so you're yogi toe locking. Exhale to fold. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Press your thumbs to your big toenails. Look forward. Exhale, bend into your elbows and fold over your legs. You can have a huge, deep bend into your knees. And that's great. And as you breathe, you start to straighten your legs. Breathe into your upper back. And keep it active. Think about pressing down on your fingers with your toes as you pull up on your toes with your fingers. There's that push-pull action. Okay, let go of that intensity. Keep holding on to your big toes though, and start to widen your feet, if you can, to the outside edges of your mat, still holding your toes. If you need to let go while they're wide, think about coming into that squat. So sink your hips and come into a squat. You've still got your toes hooked. And now inhale, straighten your legs and fold forward. Exhale, sink into the squat. Let's inhale in the squat. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, squat it down. It's kind of like a stirrup type squat. Exhale, fold. Inhale, squat. And exhale, fold. Straighten those legs. Now walk your feet back underneath your hips, hip width apart. On your next inhale, come to plank. Exhale, lower all the way to the floor. Inhale, cobra pose. Lift your heart, lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale it down. Inhale all the way up into plank, if you can. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, forearm plank. Bring your hands to prayer on your mat. Elbows come under your shoulders. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. Big breath in here. Exhale, press your hips back, dolphin pose. Maybe you walk your toes in just a little bit. It's like downward dog with the forearms on the mat. Your hands are in prayer here though. On your next inhale, shift forward into forearm plank. And your right forearm's gonna come across the front of your mat and you're coming into side forearm plank. Bring your left hand to your left hip or bring it up. Stacking your shoulders in one straight line, press your hips up. Forearm plank. Forearm side plank. Okay, bring your left hand down into plank. So now your right hand comes into plank and step your right foot to the outside of your right hand, lizard. Shift forward and back. On your next inhale, plank. Exhale to low plank or to the mat. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. And press back to downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, forearm plank. Big breath in. And exhale, dolphin pose. Press your hips up and back. Hold it here. Inhale, shift forward into that forearm plank. Now bring your left hand across the front of the mat so you're coming into side forearm plank, rolling onto the baby toe edge of your left foot this time. Press your hips up. Right arm extends up to the sky, or your hand can be on your hip. Breathe in your side plank. Okay, and we're coming all the way over into plank. So your right hand comes down, presses you up into that plank, left hand to the mat. Left foot steps to the outside of your left hand, lizard pose. Shift forward and back. If you find moving forward and back is not fun, then find stillness and breathe. It should be fun. Okay. Inhale, plank. Exhale, low plank. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. After your next exhalation, come to the top of your mat, toes touch. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, your hands to your heart. Inhale, forward. Exhale, twist to the right. Breathe here. Inhale, chair. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, forward. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, chair. And exhale, fold. This time, widen your feet, gorilla pose. Bring your hands directly underneath your feet. So bend your knees a lot. Slide your hands with your palms facing up underneath your feet. So your big toe comes to your wrist. Do both feet. Bend your knees as much as you need to get your hands under. Once your hands are under, really squish your palms with your toes. So you're pressing down on your hands. And at the same time, pull up on your feet with your hands. Now start to straighten your legs, bend into your elbows, allow your head to hang. Breathe into gorilla. Release your hands from under your feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Widen your feet to the outside edges of your mat. Maybe come back a little bit and get your blanket if you're setting up. We're getting our ready for our crow pose because our squat is now. Coming into your squat, preparing for crow. So if you need your blocks close by to get some height, bring them there. For now, we're in squat. I like a little shift from side to side in my squat. Try it out. Okay, crow pose, bring your hands to the mat. Maybe coming up onto your blocks under your feet. Your hands are shoulder width apart. You've spread your fingers. Remember, the tips of your fingers are like your toes. Think of them like toes. So you're pressing into the floor, you're pressing away from the floor, protracting into your upper back, rounding into the shoulders. Your knees are coming to your triceps. You shift forward and lift your one foot and then the other foot. Look forward. Pull your belly button to your spine. Hollow your belly out. Breathe. 3, 2, and 1. Come back into squat. Sink your hips, move your blocks and your props out of the way. Bring your knees to the mat, bring them together. Traditional child's pose. So your knees are together, you're sitting between your heels, forehead to the mat. Bring your arms alongside your body with your palms facing up beside your feet. Close your eyes. And breathe. Use this as an opportunity to slow down your heart rate. And just check in with how you're doing. I just want you to remember The goal is not reaching crow pose. Once you're in crow pose, the next step is like tripod headstand, or you could work on side crow, or you could work in like a pigeon crow. There's all these different variations of crow once you get into crow. So just know that once you level up, you can level up again and again. There's never really an end. So don't worry about the final, what the pose is supposed to look like, and just focus on where are you at in your practice and how can this pose fit in your body today. On your next inhale, come up, sit on your yoga mat, facing the front, sit up nice and tall. Bring your hands to heart center, and we'll close our practice with this message regarding uncertainty. Something like crow pose. If it's not in your practice, or if it's not something that you practice regularly, you definitely probably have a little uncertainty around that yoga pose. I don't know if it's going to work out. I don't know how I'm going to do. And when that shows up in so many aspects of our life. And just remember this, with uncertainty, there's always an answer. It may not be there right now, but it will come. Patience, time, understanding is all you need. Namaste. Thanks, yogis.
Hey Yogi, Leah B here. If you enjoyed this class, why not catch the next one live? I host free 15-minute yoga for active bodies classes every week. All you have to do is head over to leahyogachick.com and register, and I'll send you the Zoom link. See you there.